of War 4 is another sequel to the Gears of War franchise, and this time is on Xbox One. This game takes place 25 years after Gears of War 3 and kind of focuses on the next generation of COG, specifically with Marcus Fenix's son, JD, who is the main character and somewhat of the leader of this trio of new COG characters. In this new game, society is formed back after the locust outbreak that took place many years ago, but after some people go missing, people start to question what's going on, and that's when this new horde of locusts come in called the Swarm. They are the successors of the Locust. They're just different. They're the Swarm. They're basically the Locust, really. And it's up to this new trio of COG to figure out what's going on, why these Swarm Locust-like creatures are here, and also there's some family drama where one of them has to save their own mother. Alright, so I am a huge Gears of War fan. I remember when I was 12 years old and I went to my friend's house and I saw him playing the first Gears of War, and I was looking at the screen and I was like, oh, this is a really cool military shooter. And seconds later, Marcus Fenix was chainsawing a Locust, and me as a 12-year-old, I was like, I need Jesus! I need Jesus! So that was kind of like my first interaction with rated M gore. And after that, I got used to it and I started playing Gears of War, and to this day, it's my favorite Microsoft game next to Halo. So when I heard that they were making Gears of War 4, I was very open to it because not only did I want to play Gears of War on my Xbox One, I also wanted to see where they would take the story. And I was also really concerned because Gears of War 3 ended everything. The Locusts were dead, so there wasn't really anything that you could make a sequel out of. But after finally beating the game tonight, I have to say this is a really good sequel. I really liked it, and I really liked the story that they incorporated into it, and I do feel as though it kind of fits well into the Gears of War franchise. Like I said, it involves the next generation of COG, and it's really interesting to see in this video game how the COG have changed over the years, and how there are some members of the COG that don't agree with the modern day COG, and how they wish that they can go back to the old COG ways. And even though it's not really explained in the game what transpired throughout 25 years to make the COG the way that they are now, it's really interesting to see that tension between the old COG and the new COG, and just there's that sense of wonder as to what happened. Why is there tension, really? Let's talk about these characters real quick, especially JD. I really like these characters because not only are they just, you know, random Gears of War characters, and one of them is related to Marcus Fenix, I really felt as though they really had character. Like, these were actual characters. Like, if you look back at the old Gears of War games, like, most of them are just, like, you know, buff guys, like, they're badasses with tempers, and with this game, though, I felt as though they were, you know, they were just kind of kids, really, who were kind of put into this universe. And I really enjoyed just seeing these different characters and kind of these different interpretations of the kind of characters that we can meet throughout this Gears of War franchise. And through these new characters, I also really enjoyed Marcus Fenix's involvement in this new game. I saw the teasers to the game and I saw that Marcus Fenix was in it, but I was kind of scared that he wasn't going to play like a really pivotal role in the story. I thought he was going to be like maybe a cameo of some sorts, but he is in a majority of the game. You play with him, and it was really interesting to see kind of him as just an ally, because in the other games you play as him. You are Marcus Fenix, but it's really interesting to see him as not only an ally, but also as a mentor to these kids who have now labeled themselves as COG. I also caught some tension between Marcus and JD, like that son and father tension that you see throughout this game. And it's not really explained kind of what happened, like why they are the way they are, like towards each other, but it's really interesting to see that this could be later explored in future games. And often at times it would be really funny, like Marcus would question his son, like, all right, so how are we gonna get out of here? And he's like, well, there's a ship, okay? There's a ship, but it's on fire. It's on fire. Yeah, it's on fire. Yeah, sorry, Dad. Like, it's that kind of relationship. Sometimes it's fueled with anger, but at sometimes it comes off as funny. Kind of the way that I would really describe this game is, in terms of video games, I think it is this year's The Force Awakens, really, because we have this franchise that's been out for a while, and we're introduced with this kind of next generation of characters, like young kids. And there's these old characters that come back into the story in order to kind of mentor these characters into the main protagonist level. In this case, Marcus Fenix is Han Solo, and these kids are taking over the roles of being the protagonists. It was really interesting, and I kept thinking of The Force Awakens when I was playing this game. Now let's get into the negatives. And this first part isn't really a negative, it's just something I've been noticing about all video games coming out in 2016. I feel as though when we have like a new sequel to a video game, for some reason, the art design goes for this futuristic look, And that's seen a lot in this game. Like, if you look back at the old Gears of War games, it's really bloody, the color scheme is kind of gray, and it almost has like this really dark gothic look to it. Gears of War 1 had that, Gears of War 2 had that, and for some reason Gears of War 3 went to this colorful route, and this game kind of did the same thing, except that it added more technological feel to it. The only thing I really liked technologically based about the game was the weapons. I really enjoyed the weapons in this game. They added a submachine gun in this game, which I really enjoyed. I found myself using that more than the Lancer sometimes, but the Lancer is always like that main gun that you use in Gears of War, so you have to use that because chainsaws. And there's also kind of this gun that shoots out razor blades, so I thought that was really cool. And I really enjoyed the weapon aspect of the games. I like how they kept the same weapons from the older games and they added newer weapons. But that wasn't the only thing that was added on as well. There was also, you know, because like it's in the future, it's 25 years after the Gears of War games, and there's kind of like this futuristic city that they're living in. There's like robots and everything, and it's like a majority of the enemies in this game, besides the swarm or, you know, the locust, is robots. I'd say that the first hour you're playing this game, you are shooting at robots. And I guess that's okay. I guess that's fine. Like, it is 25 years into the future, but I don't really think it was needed, really. Another thing that I have to mention, which is kind of a problem for me, I really thought this was an issue, is that this campaign is really short. I beat this probably in 3 nights. And that's really surprising to me because I spent like maybe 2 hours a night playing this game. It's short. I mean, there are hints that are telling you like, hey, this game is about to end. Like when you're at the finale and it's like huge, it's like big budget type stuff. And I saw them present it in front of me, but at the same time, I was like, no, there's gotta be more stuff after this. This can't be it. And then it ended. And I was like, I felt like that should have been longer. I did enjoy it, and I really did enjoy the ending. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I enjoyed the game and the story and just like what they presented to us as far as characters and where this franchise is going. But I did feel like there were some things that were left out. I did feel it was very short, and I feel as though a majority of those questions that weren't answered could have been easily answered within, you know, a couple more levels that they could add to the game. But instead what they did was they decided to end it on this really high twist kind of note, and the game's just over. The plus to this is that there's a new Gears of War coming out. I'm just gonna come out and say like how the game ended. Yeah, there's gonna be a Gears 5 for sure. But for me as the player, like playing this game now, I really wanted the majority of the questions to be answered. Like, why was this swarm coming up from the ground? Why was the modern day COG the way that they were? Why is there tension between Marcus and his son? I mean, I'm glad that we're getting another Gears game. That's really cool, but I really wanted those questions to be answered right in front of me. Like I said, this game is a lot like The Force Awakens. In terms of there being new characters, it takes place in the future, but also because there are unanswered questions and they expect you to wait for a sequel for those questions to be answered. So that's all I have to really say about the campaign. Let's get to the multiplayer base of it. The multiplayer is the same, really. There is stuff added onto it, but I really enjoyed the multiplayer as well. I'm going to be playing it more and more throughout the coming weeks. I'm going to be using it probably in gameplay videos, especially Horde. I'm very glad that Horde is back. It's Horde 3.0. They took a bunch of the new enemies that were presented in the campaign and put it into this new Horde, which I thought was really cool. The new weapons are in Horde, the new enemies are in Horde, so this is something I'm going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, for sure. And also, if you don't like Horde, you can verse other players. It's classic Gears of War multiplayer. Like, if you're really wanting just to go back to the roots of Gears of War 2 or 3, the stuff is there. It is all there. Nothing has really changed, except for the add-on of the stuff that was in the campaign. You're gonna love it if you're diehard Gears of War fans, I assure you. I'm sorry if I don't touch more on the multiplayer aspect of games when I'm reviewing these games, but I'm really just interested in story structure. When going into these reviews, I really just reviewed the story and the campaigns of these games, and it's just hard for me to review the multiplayer aspect because it's just me saying like, oh, it's just the same stuff from, you know, before, they just add more stuff to it. That's not a bad thing, it's just like I suck at reviewing multiplayer aspect of video games. That's why I'm always so heavily focused on the story part. So hopefully you guys understand. It's just the way I am with these game reviews. So yes guys, that was my review of Gears of War 4. Comment down below what you thought of this game. If you've played it yet, like the video, share it, and please subscribe to PixelTalk for more game reviews, movie reviews, trailer reactions, and gaming content. Thank you guys so much. I am Corbin Stuckey, and this is PixelTalk.